Autumn's Embrace, Chapter 2. The sun crept lazily over the horizon, casting a soft golden glow on the sleepy town of Willow Creek. Dew clung to the long blades of grass, glistening like tiny jewels in the early morning light. The air was fresh and crisp, filled with the unmistakable scent of damp earth and the tang of fallen leaves that had begun to slow their decay underfoot. It was a far cry from the concrete jungle Elliot had left behind, and for the first time in a long time, he woke up feeling refreshed. Elliot stretched in bed, his muscles stiff from the physical exhaustion of the move. His new home, the old farmhouse on the edge of town, was a world apart from the sleek apartment he had known for years. The floors creaked when he walked, and the walls whispered of decades past. It wasn't perfect, far from it, but it felt real, lived in, like the kind of place where a person could build a life. He threw on a simple flannel shirt and a pair of jeans before paddling downstairs, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the stillness of the house. The kitchen, with its wide farmhouse sink and weathered oak cabinets, greeted him with the scent of the coffee he had prepared the night before. He poured himself a cup, wrapping both hands around the mug for warmth, and stared out the window. The view was breathtaking. Rolling hills stretched into the distance, dotted with patches of trees, ablaze in autumn hues. Every now and then a gust of wind would send a cascade of leaves tumbling down from the old oak tree that stood sentinel in the front yard. It was a scene so idyllic that Elliot had to remind himself this was real. This was his life now. But as peaceful as the morning was, he felt a pull to leave the house and explore. The real estate agent had mentioned the town's cafe was a local favorite, and something about it had stuck in Elliot's mind. Maybe it was the promise of a hot breakfast, or maybe it was the need to feel connected to this place, to begin planting roots, however small. Finishing his coffee, Elliot grabbed his keys and jacket and headed out. The morning air hit him with a sharp bite, but he welcomed it. It woke him up fully, made him feel alive in a way he hadn't felt in years. As he walked the short distance into town, the sun continued to rise, illuminating the path before him and setting the leaves aglow in their vibrant autumn shades of red, orange, and gold. The town itself was just as picturesque as he had remembered from his visit a few months ago. A row of charming shops and businesses lined Main Street, their brick facades adorned with windows, box still blooming with late-season flowers. The sidewalks were dotted with locals going about their morning routines. An older man walking his dog, a woman carrying a bag of groceries, and a couple chatting animatedly about the post office. It was the kind of town where everyone seemed to know each other, where people waved as they passed and stopped for a quick word. As Elliot made his way to the cafe, he couldn't help but feel like an outsider, like he didn't quite belong yet. It wasn't a hostile feeling, more of an awareness that he was new and unknown in a place where the familiar ruled. He hoped that in time he would be able to blend into the rhythm of this town, to be one of those faces others would greet with a nod or a smile. The bell above the door chimed softly as he entered the cafe, the scent of fresh brewed coffee and baked goods wrapping around him like a warm blanket. The space was cozy and welcoming, with wooden tables, mismatched chairs, and a chalkboard menu listing daily specials in neat, curling script. A few locals sat scattered throughout, sipping their drinks and chatting quietly. "Good morning. Welcome to Willow Creek Cafe," a cheerful voice called out from behind the counter. Elliot turned to see a petite woman with bright eyes and a friendly smile. Her apron was dusted with flour, and she had held a notepad in one hand, ready to take his order. "First time here?" she asked him with a grin, clearly picking up on his unfamiliarity. "Yeah, just moved to town," Elliot replied, taking a seat at the counter. "Thought I'd come by and see what all the fuss is about." "Well, you picked the right place," she said, flashing him a smile. "Best coffee and breakfast in town. Though I may be a little biased." She winked and handed him a menu. "I'm Donna, by the way, and don't worry, we'll get you feeling like a local in no time." He chuckled, glancing at the menu. "Good to know. I'll take whatever you recommend." Donna nodded and jotted down his order before disappearing into the kitchen. Elliot took a moment to glance around the cafe, letting the atmosphere soak in. It was the kind of place where the pace of life slowed down, where people lingered over their meals instead of rushing off to the next task. It was then that he noticed her. She was sitting at a table near the window, a steaming mug of tea in front of her and an open book resting on the table. Her chestnut brown hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders, and she wore a knitted scarf, the kind that looked handmade and cozy. There was something about the way she sat, so at ease, so immersed in the moment, that caught his attention. She seemed to belong here as much of part of the cafe's charm in the wooden beams or the worn floors. As if sensing his gaze, the woman looked up, her hazel eyes meeting his. For a split second, time seemed to slow. She gave him a small, polite smile before returning her attention to her book. But that moment lingered in Elliot's mind. Donna returned with his breakfast, a plate piled high with scrambled eggs, bacon, and a stack of pancakes drizzled with homemade syrup. "There you go. You'll be full all day after that," she said with a laugh. Elliot thanked her and began to eat, but his mind kept drifting back to the woman by the window. He didn't know why she had caught his attention so thoroughly, but something about her presence was soothing, almost like a reminder of why he had come to Willow Creek in the first place. The simplicity, the warmth, the sense of connection he craved, it all seemed to radiate from her without effort. As he finished his meal, Elliot noticed the woman getting up to leave. She gathered her things and slung a canvas bag over her shoulder, walking past the counter on her way out. "Morning, Lily," Donna called cheerfully as the woman waved and exited the cafe. Lily. The name seemed to suit her, delicate yet grounded, much like the autumn leaves falling softly outside. Elliot paid for his meal, making a mental note to come back soon. As he stepped outside, the cool air hit him once again, though this time it was invigorating. A fresh start in every sense of the word. He walked slowly back to his farmhouse, his mind still turning over the morning's events. The town had welcomed him with open arms, and while he still felt like an outsider, the feeling was less daunting than before. There was a comfort in knowing that places like Willow Creek existed, places where time moved slower, where people greeted you with a smile, and where a simpler morning at a cafe could lead to something more. As he reached his front porch, Elliot paused for a moment, looking out at the rolling hills in the distance. The sky was clear, the sun now fully risen, casting a warm light over the landscape. He had made the right decision coming here. This was where he was meant to be. And something told him that his story with Willow Creek, and perhaps with Lily, was just the beginning. If you like this chapter, please leave a like, comment, and don't forget to follow and share. And stay tuned for Chapter 3 of Autumn's Embrace.